Tell me, are you ready to find your weird way? Weird was a concept that was spoken of long ago. It meant fate, it meant destiny, it meant your path in life. I'm your host, Dean Bentley, and I am here to explore how you can connect to your own path in life, to know the essence of your own soul, to connect to that single spark that lives within the deepest recesses of your being that says, "This is why I am here," to go beyond the limitations, the constrictions of the modern world, and open you to the possibilities and the potentiality of what is possible within this world. Join me as we dive deep on the weird way.
Welcome back, Weird Ways. It is a pleasure to be back in this space. Now, I've missed you. I've missed coming into here and recording. It's been a few weeks since I've released an episode, and a lot has been happening in my world. And before I go into that, this episode is going to be great if you've been feeling defeated by life, if you've felt yourself stuck, a little bit stagnant, disconnected, a bit challenged by life. Because for me, these are experiences that sometimes we don't talk about as much as people would like. And I know for me, there can be a lot of preconceived ideas, especially within the more conscious community, where there's a belief that you need to think positive or positive thought, affirmations, and they can sometimes rob us of the experience of going through the struggle and make us want to bypass our experience. And even works of Joe Dispenza, of people who have had really powerful work, it can at times feel like we're trying to jump over the current experience to detach from what is here, rather than firstly coming into relationship with what is here. And this is a big difference and something I'm really passionate about, because I know for me, I've spent so much of my times looking to chase, looking to create, and looking to be more than I am. Like when I look back at my healing journey, and this is a conversation I've been having lately with myself, there was so much of this work that came from a place of I'm not good enough, that I need to prove that I am worthy of being someone in this world. So I'm going to go and heal all my wounds, because then I'll be good enough. Then I can have the business. Then I can make the money. Then I can be the man in my relationship. And there was a lot of these rules about who I had to be before I was worthy of living the life I wanted. And this is something that I see with so many of my clients and people, especially once they get into this work, because there's this awareness of, oh my God, I never knew this existed. And there's so much I can improve. There's so much I can change. There's so many ways I can be better in this world and make it more loving. And it generally starts as a really beautiful experience. And then what happens is we begin to seek improvement of the self. We look to go beyond ourselves, to stretch ourselves, to push ourselves. And though these things can be beautiful, when we are looking and approaching it from a place of, I want to be more than who I am, and I want to, and that I said wrong. I want to allow myself to become more of who I am. It is different to becoming something else rather than who we are. And what happens is we can be like, okay, I spent 4 or 5 years in the men's workspace right now. And when I started, there was this belief of, oh yeah, this is what it means to be a man. I started with stoicism. I need to be more stoic. I went into assertiveness. I need to be more assertive. I need to be less nice because I could see my woundings as a nice guy. And I started to create all these rules about what it meant to be a man from this place of, oh, I wasn't good enough as who I am. Now, there was a lot of beauty that happened in these experiences where I was able to look at myself and see, okay, that is out of alignment with who I want to be, and begin to change that and begin to heal the parts of myself that needed healing to become more of myself. But we want to be looking at how are we moving and why are we moving? And before we even move, what are we doing? And this for me is a piece that so many people miss. And why often life continues to get worse and worse for people before anything changes. Because life knows this. Our soul knows this, and it wants to serve us. It wants to us to come into relationship with ourself. And life is going to stretch us more and more and more and more until we are willing to pause and really be with what is here, to be with the emotional undercurrents that we have been suppressing, that we have been holding back and ignoring. And you may be listening to this and being like, oh, I do express my emotions. I do feel my emotions. And why am I still feeling stuck? I've done the spiritual practice to meditate on it, to feel it, to embody it, and still this is coming up. Well, you have not healed yet. You have not gone beyond this. It is still here and it requires more presence and space. And the fact that you are frustrated with it and that you are angered by it and you're wanting it to disappear already tells me that you haven't come into relationship with it yet. You are still repressing it. You are still wanting it to be different than what it is. So you haven't come into acceptance of it. Now, this doesn't mean you need to accept it forever, but it does mean you need to bring love and presence to the situation, to the experience that is occurring, not trying to fix before you have done this. If you have not done this yet, if you have not allowed yourself to pause and be with what is, and really be there to really let yourself, if you've been feeling defeated, if you've been feeling stuck, if you've been feeling like nothing is working for you and it keeps getting worse, to allow yourself to experience those emotions, those feelings, those experiences, and be really honest. This allows you to in relationship with truth, with your inner truth, with your experiences. And so often, this is occurring because your soul is asking for a deeper healing, for a deeper initiation into yourself. And you've been sitting on the surface trying to move trying to just get past this to go to the next stage, and you haven't allowed yourself to stop and be with this moment here. You haven't allowed yourself to sink into what is happening. And that is going to be uncomfortable for a great many of you because it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable being defeated, to feeling overwhelmed by life, to feeling like you can't do what you want to do right now, to accept maybe you're not where you want to be. These feelings and these thoughts and these frustrations we can run from because we have been conditioned to tell everyone it's all okay. I'm okay. Everything's fine. I'm good. And we're being disassociation from the truth of what is experiencing, from what we are experiencing. And it doesn't work because we haven't allowed ourselves to be here, to be with this experience. And you may be like, okay, then how do I do it? How do I actually be with this? Because I want it to be gone. I want it to be different. And this is the piece. If you're having that experience of wanting this to be gone, wanting it to be different, you need to pause for a lot longer because you're trying to force past this. And it actually takes time to slow down and be present and be in relationship to the experience that you're having and bringing it love and presence. For me, I've restructured my business. I've done a lot of things lately which have changed a lot of how I'm operating, shifting even more deeply away from the hustle culture to building an ecosystem within my business. It's looking more, I'm basing it off a lot of regenerative agriculture and seeing how I can do that within my business. And it means it's slower. It means I'm moving at a slower pace at the moment. And my conditioned response has been, I need to move faster. I need to do more. I need to get it done right now and have a million tasks and do them all at once and make sure I do them every single day. That's my conditioned response. That's where my thought and my mind wants to go because that's what's being conditioned into me. Now, that's not what I actually want, not consciously. I don't want to do that. I want to create a new way of business where people can be slow. I have the time to do what I want. I get to be really in my channel when I'm creating, sharing. I'm doing it in a way that feels really integral and good. And I'm not worried about trying to get something from someone else. I'm just looking to build and nourish this ecosystem that is this community and is my community and being like, hey guys, I'm doing this. I think this could serve you. You should be here. I know what I offer. I know what I do. And approaching it from this place rather than like, okay, I need to go out and conquer. I need to go get something. I need to go do that. And that energy is something I'm okay with, but making it a sacred hunt of like, cool, I need to go get some resources for myself, my business, how am I going to do that in a way that's honoring of the land, of nature, and really question it. But in this process, what's happened is my mind has been associated to the old pattern and paradigm where I've moved a lot quicker, where I've done a lot more, where I would wake up and get into work in the first half hour and continue working for most of the day. Now, I've been reprogramming that pattern for over a year now, for over 2 years nearly, and it's still coming up for me. And this means each day I have to be with that a little bit. I have to allow myself the space and the capacity to be like, huh, this I'm allowing to be present. I'm allowing these emotions, these experiences to be here right now and not trying to change them. A lot of us, what we've been trying to do is change them and tell them this is bad, this I shouldn't experience, I need to change this because law of attraction, I'm attracting what I'm thinking about. So I need to change my thoughts and think a different way so I then can create what I want to create. And it gets a little bit bypassy within that. And that's not really what we're here for, but to just offer love and presence. And for me, the shift that I'm noticing is that instead of being like, okay, I need to get past this, I need to fix this, I need to change this, I just get to be like, this is here right now. This I'm just operating within a life. And I just trust that there's going to be a natural healing when I and just allow myself to be present in the moments I need and surrender in it. It could be very easy for me to go back to those patterns and act from that place of like, okay, time to act, time to do those things, time to just get in and do it and move from that place. And this for me is why I use my tools, meditation, breath work, yoga, these things that help me move energy, come back to my body, because otherwise I would be getting trapped in those thought patterns that were an old way of being that I no longer want to associate with. And so this has saw those voices, those experiences get louder and louder because they want to be heard, they want to be loved, and I need to bring more presence to them, and which is what I've been doing. And that is also softening them. It's allowing them to know that I'm not trying to get rid of them. They're safe because these are old aspects of self that are coming up to be healed and integrated and loved. And this is the same for most of us when we're processing something or moving through something, we're like, can I just get to the other side? And it takes us to be with the discomfort of what's here now, to be with the parts of ourselves that maybe we don't want to be with and that we want to run away from, because that's really what it is. We're rejecting the self, we're rejecting an experience of the self, and we're trying to invalidate what is occurring right now. And we're trying to go beyond, we're trying to get to the next stage, the next fin. And this is for me, a big part of the culture I want to change because I want people to have a more intimate connection with life. And that begins with building a connection to what is here now. It means coming into relationship with the body, with the experience, with the mind, and coming into a place of acceptance to all of that and saying, okay, this is welcome here. I can experience this without dissociating, disconnecting, getting caught in the stories of the mind of I need to do all that. I have so many tasks, and actually coming back into presence, acknowledging it all, experiencing it all, and not letting it control us. And this is a hard piece for a lot of people because if you've had a bodily injury, or you've been stuck in a hard financial situation, or you've been in a relationship where you're not getting the love you want, it can be very much like, I want to just get rid of this. I want to like change this already. I want to make it different. And we're coming in this energy of fixing. And it's like, okay, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do something different right now, and I'm going to create a different outcome. And we haven't given it the space to just naturally open, to naturally change. Because if you look at nature, if you look at your own body, if you've ever had a wound, I got a few blisters on my hand from um, being a firekeeper at a sweat lodge the other day, and I'm watching them, and they're naturally healing. At times, they give me pain. I've been applying aloe and giving them presence and love, and it's naturally just allowing them to heal quicker. Now, there's a limit to how quickly that will heal. It really just needs time and space, and the aloe helps. This is the same for our internal experiences. They need love and presence and maybe some attention to help enhance the healing process. And a big aspect is time. And too often we want to push past this and have it happen now, because that's our society we live in. It's instant gratification. And if it's not happening right now, we get frustrated. And this is a big one for me. I found a rock several weeks ago now when I was in a forest, and it said, Great fins take time. And I was like, I need this rock, because it's true. Great fins do take time. And we can be very impatient and wanting it to happen right now. It's like, I want this situation to be different right now because it's really uncomfortable. It's really hard. And this for me comes into the piece of what am I believing about the universe, and beginning to build a foundation that supports us in these experiences. So for me, I have a belief that the universe is always serving me, that everything I experience, even the patterns and the programs within my mind, even if I have an entity attack me or something outside of the self come in and I'm like, oh, this is serving me. Now that can serving me in different ways. Maybe it's teaching me how to love more of myself. Maybe it's teaching me how to stand more true in my power and have boundaries. Everything is serving me to become the person I need to be in this world. Now, I chose that belief, and it's something I've continued to experience as true, because every time I've gone through a dark night or an experience where I'm like, there's no way to the other side of this, I'm defeated, I'm lost, I can't imagine getting to the other side. Every time I've experienced that, what has happened on the other side of that, and once I've learned the lessons and embodied them, a shift has occurred that just opens up the universe in a new way, and new possibilities come to me. And it shows me that that was necessary to alchemize the deeper layers of the self so I can come into a new level of being within this world. Now, I couldn't have done that if I didn't have a relationship with a high truth of what I believe is universal law, which is that the universe is always serving me. Now, you could call that God, source, spirit, whatever it is for you, but for me, it's a mystery of life that is guiding me towards who I need to be in this world. And there's a path that is there for me. And it's one of the things that I continue to believe and look to believe. It's the experience of how deeply can I trust in life? How deeply can I open to life? And there's been moments where I've been tested in that several times, where maybe it's coming to the end of the week and I don't have money in my account, and it's like, how am I paying rent? And then someone books a session or says, hey, I'm ready to do some work. And it's these experiences which has allowed me to continue to build faith and trust. Over time, this has created a greater sense of faith within the world of like that life is serving me, it's taken care of me. And the more I can trust in that and surrender to the current. Now, for me, surrender is an active process where I'm engaging with what is, and meeting it and like listening and then responding, not reacting, of like, okay, cool, life is asking me to do that today. I'm going to head towards that. It's asking me to build the community I'm building over in school at the moment, which is a space for people to come together to heal and transform and get to know themselves in a really deep way and have an intimate support, having community that is more accessible than anything I've done before, because I believe this work should be very accessible and it needs a longevity to it. And I haven't seen that. It's like, oh, my frustration towards some of what I've seen in the industry was my soul being like, hey, man, it's time to do something. And I could have just got stuck in the frustration and started blaming and projecting and all of this. But it's like, hey, man, it means you want to show another way. And that's been the lesson when I've felt stuck and stagnant in different areas. It's always life serving me a lesson so that when I get to the other side of that, I can share that with others, I can teach that, or inviting me into a new stage of being. Like at the moment, a lot of my space is about slowing down. I'm growing a garden, I'm landscaping my lawn and doing all these things, which have been something I've never really done before. But life is asking me to build roots. And when I'm looking at my business, when I'm looking at what I'm creating, there's a lot of rooting down, slowing down that is occurring. Now, we're looking at this to see, okay, what do I need to meet here? What do I need to be with? And the more that you can actually be with it, and like coming back to this piece of defeat or like being stuck or stagnant or feeling like you're burnt out and being like, oh fuck, I like those experiences, the more you come into relationship with it and be with it without trying to change and just and actually being with it, not this experience of like, oh, I'm kind of sitting with it, and I'm just drinking it or dissociating or watching TV all the time. Not saying you can't do those things, but if that's all you're doing, you're not actually meeting it. You're using avoidance to and distract yourself from the deeper experience that is happening. If that is occurring, well, you need to take the time and the space and really admit to yourself some deeper truths. Like, okay, yeah, I don't want to be here right now. Like that is a truth. If you're stuck and you're like trying to fight it and you're like being like, I have no idea how to get out of here. And well, you can become honest with that and have that conversation with yourself of, I don't want to be here. I want this to be better. I want to be somewhere else. I want this to be fixed. These are all deeper truths that help you build a connection with the truth of what you're experiencing. Now, this opens the conversation for acceptance. When you build a relationship with truth, you build one with acceptance. And when you accept, you begin to build a foundation which will then allow you to create change upon. It's like trying to build your house on sand. Truth is the rock that you actually want to build yourself on. Bypassing is the sand. You get the picture. You need to actually come into relationship with that feeling of shit. Yeah, this is where I am right now. I don't want to be here. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel these emotions. I don't want to share this with anyone. I don't want to ask for support. I want to be angry at the world. I just want to fuck everything off, disappear into the woods. If those are all deeper truths, coming into relationship with them so that you can then create change because you're getting to know yourself and over time they will reveal something. But sitting in that well of truth of like, okay, this is the experience I'm having. These are the things that I'm feeling, thinking, and experiencing, and I just need to express them. I go talk to rocks and trees when I need to do this, or here in my temple, I speak these things aloud and just let them be here and let myself know it's okay to have this experience and feel these things. And from there, I begin to see a new way because so often it's the feeling of, I don't know where I need to go or I don't know what to do. If that's what you're feeling, it can be very hard to admit that. But too often we try and know. Our culture doesn't like not knowing. It doesn't like being in the unknown. It's taught us that we should know everything, that knowing creates safety. So to admit our not knowing, it can create a fear of being wrong or bad or inadequate in some way. But when we begin to admit, I don't know what to do right now, well, you may begin to build a deeper relationship with truth, and you may stop trying to force a way of like, okay, this is how I need to get through, this is the way, and actually begin to see, okay, I don't know right now. And from that place, you can begin to offer it up to something greater than yourself. I don't know what to do right now. Show me the way. I don't know what to do right now. Reveal the path. These are practices to surrender our identity and our ego to a higher power. Now, for me, this is something that initially was confronting because I thought I had to be in control of this world. I wanted to be the one who was shaping it and in control, and I have all my shit together. Well, that's a lot of responsibility to be holding everything to do with life together. It's not something anyone can do. You just need to control more and more and more until it gets overwhelming and you break because there are too many variables in life to control. And the truth of the matter is, you need to surrender to something bigger than yourself. Now, you can call that anything. You can call it life. You can call it God. You can call it source. You can call it spirit, Jesus, like anything. But it's about letting go. And it could be to your higher self, your truer self, your whatever it is. But you are not responsible for everything. You are responsible for yourself, and you are also responsible for the parts of you that want to control, and realizing you don't have as much control as you think. Life happens. It will continue when you're gone. It will continue on. So it doesn't mean you're controlling it all. You're experiencing all. You are in co-creation with life. And once you begin to admit these deeper truths, the things that on your heart that maybe you haven't shared, you'll begin to build that solid foundation with what is occurring. Now, from this place, you will be able to begin to create change. Not before, not when you bypass, not when you think positive, not when you meditate and visualize upon something else. By coming into acceptance first, and then you can move on to these next stages. But without this first stage of acceptance, everything else will crumble because it's built on the sand rather than the stone. So come into acceptance, come into a place of relationship to life and what is experiencing, what you're experiencing, not what you've been told, not what it should look like. And from there, begin to know yourself. That's about all I've got today, Weird Ways. If you got a lot from this episode, if you've felt anything arise, if you've got any comments, if you want to share this with someone or on your socials, tag me, let people know, help spread this. Feel like this was a powerful conversation. I riffed, I ranted, I went down a few rabbit holes. So let me know what you got from here. This just helps bring energy into the space and continue to grow. This is something I've really been doing of asking for support, asking for people to share the message when it resonates, because this just helps it grow. Send this to someone who you may think may need it. This is something that has been a practice to me when I create these. I'm like, okay, who may this really land for? And send it to them, because this is how we serve. When we begin to offer these as a gift to other people, it helps create a community and an ecosystem that is truly nourishing and supportive of more life. If you've been confronted by some of the things I've said and think I'm full of bullshit, that is also okay. Find your own truth, question it, sit with it, be with it. Ask yourself these own questions so you can come into relationship with what you believe in yourself. Weird Ways, thank you all for joining me. Enjoy your day.